Okay, the channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on so many levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Woohoo!
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I am Christiana Ellis. I am the Dungeon Master, and our players tonight Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn, the Dragonborn Cleric,
We're gonna have some fun.
Jenny Meltzer as Zaleen, the Dark Elf Sorcerer Cleric,
Clairlock,
Clairlock,
but still. Yeah. Um, Hi and stuff.
Mark Kilfoyle as Vertigo, the Gnome Wizard, or Wizard
They
Sorcerer,
they say they have a library, but can I trust it?
Wizarder,
Sorzed.
and Starla Hutchton as Carolina Swift, the Changeling Bard.
Hello, friends. My name's not complicated. You're welcome.
Your name is everything. What are you talking about? It's not complicated. It's 17,000 names.
Yeah, different name for every one of your little
Okay.
personas.
I only have one class though.
That's true. It's true.
That's your own
All the
fault.
class.
Mm-hmm.
The only place I have any class, but
So, when last we left our heroes, the Pocket Protectors, they had, at long last, finally performed the ritual that would allow them temporary entry into the magically sealed away island nation of Dinuther, which had been trapped in an arcane bubble for a long time. We didn't really ever nail down an exact time period. It doesn't matter. But having arrived there, traveling with a rather strange individual with unclear motives, you found yourself looking at an island with an enormous mountain on it and an enormous city on it, and that city looks like it's had a rough go of it. It's very big, it's very fancy, it's also very damaged by large looking craters and what looks like probably a lot of warfare. You were initially spotted by what proved to be a giant construct turtle piloted by a young man named Zephyr, who referred to the turtle as Sheldrake, and they were hurriedly encouraging you to allow them to take you to safety because you're about to be attacked. Sure enough, as you were speeding along towards the city, there were strange constructs pursuing you, but you fought them off. And when you arrived with Zephyr and Sheldrake at the city, you were introduced to Vice President Jeffeth, who is very eager to talk to you and invited you to step into his automated carriage to be taken to a place of safety. And you did. So that is where we now resume our story. You have all entered this carriage. Only one of this individual's automated bodyguards gets in with you, but it is now the four of you, Vice President Jeffeth and one of his construct bodyguards, in this very luxurious carriage that is not pulled by any livestock, but operated by some sort of a arcane construct, and you feel it begin to move. It's very nice inside, but there are no windows to the outside. And so Vice President Jeffeth, once you all get settled, says, "Are any of you in need of refreshment or anything?"
Something cold with water, please? And Vertigo looks nervous.
Okay. He opens up what looks to be sort of like a little mini bar, and he gives you a glass of water with ice cubes in it.
Thank you. Reach in, take out one of the ice cubes, and start putting it on his forehead.
Anyone else?
No,
I'm
good.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. No.
Very well, it's there if you change your mind. I must say, I consider myself quite fortunate to have ser- serendipitously been in the area where I was able to meet you. And let me emphasize that me and my entire organization have been very eager to speak with anyone who has been able to enter the bubble. This is not something that we are accustomed to, but certainly interested in. And so, if I believe we did do like introductions last time, yeah. So he says, obviously, I think we have a lot of questions, but the first is really the big one, which is how did you manage? How did you find the bubble? How did you penetrate it?
Mm, that's, well, honestly, kind of like we do everything. We just kind of did it backwards and sideways, and here we are. It was very complicated. There's a lot of things we had to collect, and it
You want to
might
make
be a
a
very long
deception check
story.
for me? Because you're obviously obfuscating. You're talking
Yes.
around the answer. Yeah.
Well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some of those, a
Okay.
few of these.
I just
22.
want
Yeah.
to
22.
remind you in the meta that I was making noises about us, like accidentally going through like some swirling portal-y thing and winding up here without knowing what's going on.
Okay. I mean, so,
So you've already lied, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I
okay.
think you had to make a deception check at that time too. I can't remember.
Well, let's see. I think our last few rolls from the last game here, um, it doesn't look like we did a roll in roll 20 at least.
He did do one, but it was with Zephyr
Okay. Right.
because he rolled
It
a
was an
5 and a 7.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
he rolled a 5 and a 7, like
okay.
deception.
Yep,
All right.
Yeah.
that's
Well,
there.
so in any case, then let's.
Wasn't this guy
Yeah.
anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So he's asking for clarification, and so if you want to say that, I mean, I guess what she said isn't really incompatible with that.
Oh,
He's
okay.
wanting more information, is the point. And she basically gives a non-answer saying it's complicated, but you do it in a charming way, and so he seems like he's just smiling. I can imagine this arcane seal that has been placed around our island is of to say it is of impressive complexity and strength is a dramatic understatement, and we have been researching ways to break through it for some time, devoting considerable resources to it. And so, absolutely, even if you are not fully cognizant of how it is that you managed such a feat, we would be very interested in whatever information we could glean from you in terms of how this might be accomplished, how we might repeat whatever conditions produced it in the first place. And we would absolutely be in a position to compensate you generously for your time and information in this regard.
Well, so it seems that you've put a lot of resources into figuring out this bubble shield thing around your island, but um what about the nightmare problem? Have you solved that one?
He's giving you kind of a look. Uh, so tell me what you mean when you ask that.
Hmm. So there's a big problem in the plane of dream, in that nightmare energy is apparently just like spilling out everywhere. and invading all the other planes, and it's really destructive. And from what we can tell, started here. So,
So it sounds like you are familiar with Dinuther and the seal that we're in. It sounds like you are aware of broad categories of magical influence that surround our whole little environment here. I had thought you were suggesting to me that this was accidental.
mm, like I said, it's complicated. But it was
We
extremely unpleasant to come through that that bubble. So I would just assume that yes, lots of magical complexities were involved there. Um, yeah, not pleasant. 0 stars. Don't recommend.
well, regardless, we are prepared to compensate you for information leading to the ability to penetrate the bubble. It may be that you think you know more than you actually do about the nature of our situation here. It does not surprise me that various extraplanar influence has been disrupted by this unnatural seal that has been placed around us. Think about nature. Nature exists in an equilibrium with many different forces coming and going and working with each other and combining and influencing. But when you seal away a piece of it, naturally that's going to be disruptive. When water is flowing freely in a river or a stream or the ocean, it can be naturally filtered through the environment. But a pond, stagnant, unconnected to the rest of that cycle, can be fouled. And this is largely much of the problem that we are facing here. Whatever influence you say you are perceiving from outside is something that I assure you is worse here. And it is why we are so interested in finding a way to remedy this situation. There are a number of there are countless people here on the island suffering as a result. We
So just
simply are
go ahead. Sorry,
we
continue.
are simply seeking a way to solve this problem for our people, for the good of our people. And I suspect that if this bubble were to come down, this concentration of what you're calling nightmare, I believe that that problem would be resolved as well.
It's understandable from your perspective how limited your information is and how you've come to those conclusions, unfortunately. Um, you do have specialists in these areas. Is it a long drive? Are we going to be there soon?
We are. You're throwing a lot at me here because on the one hand, every sentence that you're saying now is giving me more and more reason to believe that you know more than you've been telling me. But
You
I
talk so
understand.
slowly. Please just tell me if we're going to be there soon. This is a vehicle. It's a machine, right?
Yes.
How much longer? Could we walk?
It would be highly inadvisable. Not only is the secure location we're traveling to some distance away that would take quite a bit of time on foot, but it is not safe on the streets of Dinuther at this time. There are many forces that would seek to harm you or take advantage and exploit you. Not to mention a lot of chaotic fighting that might not have anything to do with you but would be dangerous to anyone in the area. This carriage is secured, and I'm taking you to a place where you can be in safety. But it
How
will
about a
take some
window
time.
or something?
You wish
Way
to
to
see
look
outside?
outside? Yes.
Uh, Certainly. And he reaches over to like a panel that has a number of little like crystalline gems in it, and he presses some, and you see effectively like a minor illusion window that appears on one side of it. And you know that this is not like a physical window, but you're seeing what looks like a window displayed as illusion. And he says an actual window would be a weak point in the structural integrity of the chamber. But as you can see, and you can see out the window, you are already, you're moving pretty fast along these streets, and you do occasionally see people on the streets, usually kind of in small groups, kind of hurrying from one place to another. But to a large extent, a lot of the streets are not terribly uh, populated, and there's a lot of damage to the various buildings. And he says, we are getting ready to cross the river, and we will leave the city proper behind, and we're going to one of our headquarters. You mentioned a library earlier. It's actually one of our most secure archives. It's a coincidence that that's where I'm taking you, but perhaps that will please you.
And Vertigo has turned to face that window and try to keep the rest of the carriage out of his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of moving as close as it can to the illusion.
Okay.
It will have to do. Library, yes. Repository of knowledge. Everything you might know so far, or at least the theories you have so far.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly I can find some correlations between what you think you know and what might actually be happening. Uh, as for how this place was discovered, it's really basically because of its disruptions to the entire universe. The energy contained within here is. There's no real kind way to say it. Chaotic. Disruptive. Possibly even corrosive.
Uh,
Definitely mismanaged. That's absolutely certain.
Well, I certainly can't speak for every individual here in Dinuther. There are many who I would absolutely agree are chaotic and corrosive to the goodwill of and best interests of their fellow individuals. This city, I wish you could have seen it before. It was a glorious place. And we our trajectory was ever upward. We were advancing magical discoveries like you've never seen. And then the bubble came down, and suddenly resources are scarce. Fighting begins. There are factions developing, and this is all the result of us being trapped like rats instead of allowed to grow and develop as any society should.
How long
So-
ago?
So I'm going to step above the table a little bit and say, we have not established a time. I'm not going to make up a number.
I guess it's mostly, it doesn't have to be a specific number, but he's saying it as though it is recent memory. So
Okay, so fair enough. I think he says it has been some time, but within living memory.
So if any of y'all happen to look at Carolina, you just see like the more he talks,
Mm-hmm.
the more she's just getting this twitch in
Mhm.
her eye.
Mhm.
it's Carolina. She's actually transforming into the twitched version of herself and then back out again.
It's like, so let me please forgive my enthusiasm. It has perhaps made me overly eager and come on a bit strong. It is my desire to reassure you that out of all of the people here in Dinuther that you could have come across, I believe that we are the ones best suited to help you with whatever you need. And hopefully, we can work together to make things better for everyone.
So tell me a little bit about the different factions. Like, who are those? What were those things that tried to kill us
Ah,
when we first got here?
yes, I was informed that you were pursued by a couple of the rebellious constructs. The when the bubble came down and resources became increasingly scarce, the fighting escalated from mere territorial competition and free enterprise, and it became more of a skirmish. But it is one thing for different organizations to dispute the way things should be run and even to come to conflict over it. But there are some who seem to think that all of us all of us here must simply be annihilated and destroyed, and all of the accomplishments that we have achieved as a civilization must be torn away and razed to the ground. And they seek to do that. And it is something that we oppose strenuously because we believe that the knowledge, the advancements that have been made are meaningful, and not least, they provide a better quality of life for our citizens. And it is our interest to try to maintain that, but it is difficult when we have these rebellious factions seeming to just cause as much havoc and destruction as possible. There are also some, as I know you mentioned, who have allowed misuse of our powerful magics to corrode them into something unnatural. It is possible when driven too far and misused, some individuals become, in a way, addicted, and they can no longer sustain nutrition from food. And they need to drain the life force from their fellow human or fellow citizen in order to survive. And there is a collective of these that has been seeking to expand because, of course, once they have become what they are, they can no longer feed on each other, and therefore they grow like a cancer. And we are having to fight them and the rebels at the same time. It is our hope to try to maintain a quality of life as much as can be had in the bubble, but when we are fighting on two fronts, it's very difficult.
Three. Three fronts.
How do
You
you?
said the city wasn't safe, so there's someone else fighting you too.
I just described the two primary threats, so why are you assuming there's a third?
Oh, I thought it was your city. So this is not your city.
It,
Or do you all live together?
you perhaps misunderstand what a city is, sir. It's a big place. There are lots of locations in it, and not all of them are individually controlled.
Strange.
We have territory, we have headquarters, we have bases, we have factories. But that does not mean that we have perfect total control over every individual in the city. There are hideouts and refuges and outposts, and we do our best to root them out when we find them, but we cannot control everything.
So,
Why do you assume that we would have? I'm sorry. Again, I'm getting heated. This is something I'm passionate about, but I know that you're new to this region, and I don't mean to lecture.
let's go back to the life sucking people like
It's
vampires.
It's not an inapt analogy, but it is not quite the same thing as a traditional vampire. But in the way that they must feed on the life essence of others, it is similar in some respects. It's horrid,
Um,
anathema to our whole philosophy.
yeah. Um, how many of them are there roughly? Do you know?
This is something that we spend quite a few resources to discover, but every time we believe that we have eradicated a nest of them, more of them turn up elsewhere.
Hmm.
It is their nature to hide in, remain in the shadows. They will seem to be gone, and then we will believe an area is safe again and send our employees in to try to restore the homes and buildings in that region, only to find them suddenly going missing one at a time.
Hmm.
How does it affect you? You yourself. How does it feel to be here?
Uh, that's a rather broad question.
Do you even notice what is all around you?
What is all around me that I notice are the citizens of Dinuther who are suffering because they have been trapped unnaturally.
Hmm. Fish. Huh.
I think what my companion is not quite grasping, I think, is that when you grow up surrounded by a thing, it's just normal. You don't notice it because it's always been there.
I, if you are referring to something else, I don't have the answer for you. You'll have to be more clear.
You'll have to forgive my friend. He can be a little sensitive. Like with Nedry with the ice cube and the like breaking out in the
Mhm.
sweat and just like looking weird. Like, I'm not okay with this. I'm uncomfortable. Something is wrong.
And staring out the window, kind of tracing, letters in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me again reiterate that we do, despite our conflicts that we are in, have considerable resources, both intellectual, informational, and tangible, that we can bring to bear, uh, both as a means of providing you with any kind of compensation that might be value added to you. And this is all in the interest of us trying to just help the people of Dinuther break free from this prison that we've been placed in.
Fish in a bowl do not see water. What happens if you break the bowl?
I don't think that's quite the analogy that I would use. It's imagine if you
No.
have this fishbowl that has a fish in a fishbowl, and the fishbowl itself is in the ocean. And despite being surrounded by the entire ocean, the fish is trapped within the one little bowl.
Did you ever stop to ask yourself why the bubble is there? Why the city has been contained?
There are many theories. I cannot allow myself to be caught up in impossible hypothetical philosophizing when I see people all around me in need, in danger. There are those within our organization that are more focused on the higher level theoretical theory crafting of everything that is happening here, but my focus is on trying to keep a once glorious civilization from being razed to ash. And I hope that there is something that my organization can say or provide to you that will persuade you to help us.
We do want to help the people here. That's what we do.
Splendid.
But we need to get a lay of the land first. We just got here and we're being, chased down, and our boat gets lifted up by this
I,
giant turtle thing, and it's been a lot.
I can only imagine that it is an overwhelming experience to be confronted with a place like Dinuther all at once. I don't know what information you have already, but please, it is not my intent to prevent you from learning all you can about Dinuther and where we are here, but I would suggest to you that the best place to do that is where we are now going. Not only will you be protected from attacks from the various factions that I mentioned, but we have considerable archives prepared, and you can see some of the people who are benefiting from our protection.
Could you tell me something about them then? Not so much about the resources, but the people that are a part of this organization. Who are they? Who are you in charge? Who is in charge if not you?
Well, I do have a position of some authority, but I am not in charge, as it were. I am in charge of some areas, for example, but it is a large organization that has come together as a cooperative so that we can not only maintain the level of manufacture and productivity that we have struggled to achieve in a time of limited resources, but we have many workers all the way from manual labor to skilled artisans to researchers and bookkeepers and executives like myself that try to keep everything organized and directed. The place where I'm taking you right now is a facility that not only performs a lot of the administrative work of our organization, but also is in fact a functioning mine, blacksmith, and artificer shop, all within a protected fortress.
So you say you're the head of this one part. Is there somebody that's like all the way at the top?
Uh,
Not saying that we want to see that person. I'm just curious.
well, I mean, there is in fact a board. It is not a single individual, but it is a small group of people that are collectively in charge, and I report to them. And if you wish to speak directly to them, that can absolutely be arranged. Bear in mind, you did catch us by surprise. It was only just good fortune that I happened to be in an area where I could provide you safe passage to our facility. And I assure you, incidentally, that that young man, Zephyr, and his Sheldrake partner will be handsomely rewarded for rescuing you in the way they did.
Well, that's very nice of you.
So
How
I
do
believe,
s-
and he glances at the window, we are starting to come to the outskirts now, and that will allow us to begin moving a bit faster. We don't wish to damage buildings and the like when we are in the city. So, but once we are in the hills, we'll be able to make better progress towards our facility. I would say another 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
Are you sure I can't get any of you a drink?
No, I'm doing all right.
Okay, please let me know if there's anything that I can provide to you. I wish that I would be able to offer you a more relaxed and luxurious welcome to Dinuther, but I thought it priority to get you to a place where you will not have to worry about randomly being attacked by anarchists or magic vampires.
Um, so you don't know a lot about the vampires. What about this other group, the
I
one that attacked
I
us?
I I know about. They're not vampires. We call them the Drainers, but we do know about them. I just because I can't give you an itemized census of every individual,
I wasn't asking for that. I was asking for rough numbers. Do they have a place? Because their very existence offends me,
right.
especially
Well, we are in accord
how
in
they
that matter. There
crush
is what
life.
we do know of a relatively secure location that they have that we have been unable so far to penetrate because it has substantial magical defenses. But we have done our best to try to root out any presence of them where we can find them, but they are good at hiding, as I mentioned. But believe me, if part of what you hope to achieve here is the eradication of the Drainers, you will have our organization's full support.
Well, I have to discuss it with my companions, but
Of
um,
course.
crushing every
Um,
last one of them underneath my clawed feet seems like the best way that I know to save lives.
Well,
um,
you're kind of a little murder obsessed, but
They
while
kill people to live.
It's not what I would say our number one priority because the bubble is what we believe to be the ultimate source of much of the conflict here. But as opposed to allowing these drainers to continue to run free and spread throughout the populace, I am very much in favor of doing whatever needs to be done to eliminate that threat. And so, if that is something you wish to provide assistance with, as I mentioned, that is very much something we are interested in.
Okay.
while this conversation is going on,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have taken out a sheet of paper and a pencil and start sketching something.
Okay.
And after I'm done with it, I actually would like to show it to this person and be like, "Have you ever seen one of these?"
Okay.
And it's like a tanglefoot.
Okay. Um, yeah, he looks at it and he just says, uh, certainly, it is not something that we deal with regularly, but it is, in some respects, these are another way that our magic can go wrong.
could
We have a
you
long
elaborate?
history in Dinuther of dealing with hostile spirits that come from mysterious sources, extraplanar, and sometimes generated even within our own plane. And in some respects, this problem dates back all the way to the time when Dinuther was a simple fishing village. But it is nonetheless true that while we managed eventually to come to a place where we have means by which to deal with these sorts of dangerous magical creatures, they are something that persists as a natural threat, and when not carefully taken care of, or prevented. They can show up. It is, in fact, necessary for us to maintain certain levels of magical production in order to ensure that they are not created and wreaking havoc.
And how do you kill them, or how do you take care of them?
Well, we have the magical means to harness the energy that creates them and put it into more productive use.
And what does that do to them? Does it kill them?
I would I would rather dispute the question of whether these creatures are alive in the traditional sense. They're a bit more like if magic animates a suit of armor, the armor is not alive precisely. They are a manifestation of hostile energy, and that energy is transformed into a more productive use.
And the magical suit of armor collapses into dust, or does it
Oh
go on
yes,
its?
yes, yes. There is the physical manifestation is dissipated when the energy is harnessed.
Yeah, I mean, leaving aside whether they're technically life or whatever. Um,
Uh, it is something that I know that some might debate the philosophy of it, but there's no question that they are nasty creatures and entirely hostile to the more conventional forms of life. And if allowed to roam unchecked, they will cause havoc and violence and bloodshed.
yeah, that's pretty much what we've seen from them. So, yeah, I mean, just hints
And
as to getting rid
actually,
of them permanently is nice.
I don't. That's where I'm having a bit of a concern with that
Mm-hmm.
because we have taken care of a couple of these in the past,
Outside the bubble.
and they actually don't die. They come back.
Well,
So if you're harnessing their energy and they're quote unquote dead,
mhm.
how do you know that they're not coming back and that it's not part of their ploy
Well,
to?
so when you fought them outside the bubble,
Yeah,
that's interesting. But in any case, you fought them with conventional means,
magic,
but not Dinutherian magic, not our
some of it,
school.
little bits and pieces of what we
What I'm
learned along the
asking is
way.
that we have a specific magical means by which we harness their energy and rechannel it. If what you did is hit them with a firebolt, that's different. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
When you harness that energy, does it look like a little pearl kind of thing?
Yes, often. We have actually the means to produce different presentations, but that is often the most simple to produce.
So when you use those pearls, for lack of a better term, to power things,
Mm-hmm.
what happens to those pearls when the magic or the energy is extracted?
It is they physically dissipate. The energy is not cannot be created or destroyed. It is only transformed, right? And so, as the energy is manifesting in these dangerous, hostile means, we have the magical ability to transform it into a form that can be used for positive effects, to help people, to make lives better. And then, as it is used in those uses, it is transformed once again into the motion of a construct, the heat of a furnace, etc. All of this is difficult to explain without with just me here sitting in a carriage. But for example, suppose I can trust you enough to temporarily deactivate my bodyguard here. Yes.
Mean no harm at all.
Yep.
He with a hand he has his like bodyguard construct, which has just been sitting there motionless all this time, has it kind of lean forward, and then he traces something that he doesn't, you can't really see it, like he's conscious to have it at an angle that like none of you can really see what he's doing, but a little panel opens and you see a glowing pearl of that type that you've seen. You see one like fitted into a little like fitting in there, and as you can see, my bodyguard here is operated by and powered by one of these very pearls. And he closes it again, and it powers back up.
I wonder if Sequential has one of those somewhere.
Is Sequential not one of you? Is it someone from outside?
Yeah,
Is he a construct?
a friend. Yes.
Yeah.
Would you say that he has sentience?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Sentient constructs is something of a more recent phenomenon here in Dinuther, but it is something that has perhaps understandably caused a degree of unpredictable outcomes in some cases, because of course we have many sentient constructs here as part of our organization. We are construct builders. We have many factories that produce constructs of many shapes and sizes, and several of them have become sentient, and this has been something that has been a bit of an adjustment, but we are in the business of working with constructs, and now we are in the business of working with constructs, if you follow me. Now that said, because these sentient constructs do have free will, that does mean that you have the occasional construct who chooses to oppose our ways, and some have joined the rebellion, as it were. So some of these were what you saw chasing you today.
But you say they have free will. Does that mean that they're free to make their own choices? That they have equal rights with the people that they work alongside?
Well, it is complicated just because in many cases these constructs, this, my bodyguard here is, of course, of a shape and size that allows him to follow me wherever I go. But many of the constructs we are discussing might be as large as Sheldrake or even bigger. And so in those cases, it is perhaps difficult to precisely identify what constitutes equal rights when someone is of a very different form factor, if you follow me. But they are given the opportunity to do the work that they enjoy to the extent that any of us are. And this is something that happens. And as I was just pointing out, if we had the ability to entirely restrict their behavior, we certainly wouldn't have wanted many of our constructs to become anarchists who seek to destroy everything.
Is that what they want, though? Have you talked to any of them?
Have you?
Are they? Well, I'm asking because we just got here.
Well, and I'm telling you that in our experience, what they seek to do is to destroy anything they can. Their attacks leave many innocents harmed, killed. They cause a lot of damage and destruction. They destroy infrastructure which prevents us from being able to provide goods and services to people. It is terribly destructive, and very little that they have no interest in any kind of negotiation.
Do they have a leader? Do they have a council like you have?
They
You know,
are, by their nature, somewhat anathema to complex organizations. And as a result, they mostly manage to align themselves as groups only when they have a new target they wish to attack. Otherwise, they squabble with one another out in the hills.
So, in my experience, people in general are always more complicated than they seem at first glance, anyway. So, I don't know if these beings have consciousness and free will. I imagine they are no different in that regard. But like I said, I haven't met them, so I'm just speaking from my own personal experience with what I've encountered in my life.
I I hear what you're saying, and if it were something that was within my power, I wish that there were a way to have a conversation with these rebels and get to know them and understand why they're really doing all of this. And perhaps some of them are really great to have a beer with at the end of the day. But the point is that they are attacking us, killing our people, destroying our facilities. We don't have if we're going to worry about anyone and what they're really like and what they really want, how about the people who are being harmed by their attacks?
I'm not defending that. That's not what I'm saying.
So,
But
and
what I
again,
am saying is that sometimes when people reach extremes, they don't see another way.
understood, and I would not dispute that. If there were a way that I knew to stop them from blowing up buildings and killing the constructs who have chosen to remain loyal, killing other workers and destroying our facilities, if there were a way to stop that and let them just live off in the hills as they would like, that would certainly be something that we would have no quarrel with them. Our quarrel exists entirely when they provoke attacks. Now, I understand you are coming into this complex situation. Certainly, I will not pretend to be an entirely objective, unbiased point of view on this. But I suspect in your own initial encounter here, you looked at a pair of options and you chose the one that seemed reasonable.
Well, I mean, they didn't fire on us or anything. I do feel a little bit bad because, I mean, I took one down, but it was that there was an insistence that they were going to try to kill us, and in hindsight, maybe was
Would you
not
trust
my preferred course of
Zephyr's
action. But
perspective on this? I can get
well,
him on a communication.
I hardly know him, so seems
Understood. What I can tell you, if they are the constructs I am familiar with, they do not have a great deal of long range weaponry. The fact that they did not fire on you was reflective of the fact that they were out of range. They were in a hurry to get in close, at which point they absolutely would have attacked. We encounter them
But,
frequently.
but what if they were just coming to say hello, like like you know? Oh, look, these people came from outside. Maybe they could help us. I mean, we don't know. I understand that your experience with them hasn't been positive, but it seems like somewhere along the way something got broken and there's no communication. So not knowing
Hmm.
what they want or who they are or why they're doing the things they're doing
Hmm.
is is completely different than saying they want to kill us, they want to destroy us.
Uh, Zaline, if I may call you by name, the all of this ultimately is heated beyond what it should be by the fact that we are all trapped on this small island together. We are cut off from extraplanar resources that our civilization was dependent on, and we have been having to make do since. This is difficult for all of us, and it has escalated tensions beyond what they would have been. And so I hate to keep circling us back to it, but our number one priority is not to hunt down the rebellion. It is to escape this prison that we've all been placed in. And we are making progress towards our facility, and I understand that this is new to you and you may have been misinformed on some things. There may even be things that you know that I do not, but I would ask straight out, is it possible that we can come to some sort of an arrangement wherein you assist us in discovering by which means you traveled through the bubble, and ideally processing a way for us to repeat that effect?
Well, from what I've seen the last few months, nothing's impossible.
All right, so I think as we arrive at this facility, I will no longer have sole authority over your custody here. There will be others who will try to stake a claim. Bear in mind that an event such as today's is of sufficient importance that there will be many who each, in their way, try to take credit. And I hope that you will remember that you were welcomed in a friendly manner, treated well. I've done my best to answer all your questions. And I hope that you can see us as a reasonable party that only wishes to make the best life for our people. And I hope that this is something that you can find a way towards helping us here, because the stakes are high for us. And whether you came here deliberately or accidentally or to accomplish something, we are in a bind. We have been doing our best and making do. But every year that goes by is another old building collapsed. It is another butcher who worked at the corner shop who has now been converted into something horrible. It is a construct who becomes self-aware and finds that the options that they can take with their newly discovered free will are limited to fighting or construction because there is nowhere else for them to go. I hope that you will find it within you to help us. And time is a factor. And as he's kind of finishing that, you can see out this window that you've been going up into the hills, and certainly you started moving faster once you left the city behind. And you watch as there's sort of a rotation where the wheels unfurl into these claws and begin climbing up like a rock face, but the carriage rotates to keep you, right side up and not tilted. But then it clambers over a wall and then kind of settles down into a spot where you can see there's kind of there's snow on the ground up here, but you can see what look like relatively straightforward, kind of like bunkhouse in construction that's in this within this wall that is protected by these towers that have strange little glowing gems around them. And he says, and so we have arrived, and I would suggest that once we leave the carriage, certainly we are protected here within the fortress, even on the surface level, but we will be even further protected once we go inside. So if you are ready, I can take you now to a comfortable waiting room where we can discuss next steps, perhaps arrange a tour of some sort if you'd be interested.
I think I'd like that.
Open, please.
Tour sounds wonderful.
All right. So I didn't I didn't put the actual map on here. Let me just briefly put us on the battle map on the stream here, so I can kind of indicate where folks are. And I always lose this little token that I like to use for the party location. So I'm gonna just kind of grab a random token here, to have it be. Whoops, I'll put that on the token.
We're enormous.
Yeah.
We're stalking the world.
Looks
Yeah.
like an owl with a really large handgun.
Yeah. So, what happened when you initially were brought in is you were brought in kind of here to some docks, and then you were carried through the city, across the river, and then you were brought up to here.
He is an owl with an enormous.
It's a
handgun.
random token that I grabbed. It has nothing to do with anything. But yes, it is. It's actually probably a crossbow. Let's pull it up and look at
It's
it. 'Cause
Poppy,
it's-
and that's a
yeah,
hand
yeah.
crossbow, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in any
Just never
case,
seen anything like that before.
but now let's go to where is my like how do I that's interesting. How do I'm trying to go to the new page, but I realized because I put it in a folder. Okay, there we go. So you have been brought, and so like this area down here, I don't have it like populated with tokens. Oh, actually, also let me put it back on. I've got the interior layer on here, so you can see that you've just got a lot of this kind of, an outer ring and then an inner ring of various houses in construction, snow on the ground, trafficked like pathways in there, and then you were all brought to about right here in the lower right, where the carriage is sitting, and
As soon as the door is open, Vertigo tumbles out, like crawling over people, whatever, just really intent on getting outside.
are you all right?
Soon. Knowledge. I need knowledge.
Well, certainly we have quite a bit of knowledge available in our archives below. And so I think as you are coming out, you realize that there are a number of people looking at you from windows of these various like buildings, who just seem to be, kind of curious bystanders. But you also do see a couple more of these bodyguard type constructs that are, like waiting out as you come in, and he says, "Please come this way." And he's guiding you down these stairs, and then across into the this inner ring here. And as you go in there, it's at first just what looks like the standard kind of like the common room of an inn almost. But there are some stairs, and he guides you to those, and you begin going downstairs. And you definitely realize almost immediately that these are stairs that seem to have originally been cut out of bare stone, but made much nicer. Like they're well polished and lit and insulated. So it's actually really nice as you go through. It's in some ways similar to some dwarven construction you've seen. But as he's taking you downstairs, move us to the next layer down here. And again, I don't have it like separated out with all the line of sight and everything. But as you are emerging from the stairs, you find yourself in what looks like an enormous lobby with marble floors, like gilded and decorated, lots of different statues, and you see that lots of these walls all have like various scrolls and tomes and books that there's lots of books that you suspect might just be like ledgers and record keeping, because you see like large numbers of the same kind of book all with stacked together.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course this is all overlooking a big staircase that's over an open space that you feel air like coming up from there, like it's clearly like centralized ventilation, and you can see that it descends quite a ways down below. And he just says, "Please, if you'll follow me, we have obviously, as you can see, we have a lot to see here. But I want to first just bring you to a sitting room where we can discuss next steps." And so you initially came down in these kind of stairs in this central area, but he guides you down through to this room in the lower left. And I guess I could go ahead and put your tokens there. You do see it, right? Like, even though I didn't put tokens on here for you?
Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
just making sure. I figured you would have told me if not, but yeah.
It's
oh,
pretty.
yeah, let me put you on that map. Where did there we go. So there's Zinhorn and Vertigo, Zaleen, and Carolina. Yeah, and so he says, if you don't mind, I do have some debriefing and some communications that I must attend to. If you don't mind waiting here for, it should only be a short time, no more than 10 minutes, before I will be back to speak with you further. Is that acceptable? Do you need anything in the meantime?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Is that a table in the middle of the room?
No, it is. It
Or
is.
is that a carpet?
It's a carpet.
Okay.
Yeah, but these chairs are like very plush, and there's obviously like books and shelves in here. It's a very sort of nice. It's a fancy waiting room, is what it is.
I'm pretty sure that Vertigo would scan the books, at least their titles, and see
Sure.
if there's anything interesting here.
Yeah. You can do that, and I'll also just let you all know that there is kind of a sigil on the floor by the door. At a quick glance, looks protective in nature. You could study it further if you wanted, but it's yeah. So otherwise, that there are a lot of books in there that seem to be a lot of what looks like fiction to you in this particular waiting room. And a lot of those shelves. There's also some like biographies and some like almost like catalogs of different kinds of constructs. But
Can I make an Arcana check?
yeah. What are you
The
looking at?
sigil.
Oh, for
At
sure.
the sigil.
Mm-hmm.
15.
Okay. Yeah, so you suspect that this looks like it is a sigil that is primarily designed to be like a protective seal. Like if there were something dangerous outside this room, that could activate and like bar the door and prevent magical effects from penetrating into the room.
Hmm.
It is not active now, but you can tell that it's basically like something presumably might, could trigger it and activate it. But right now it's just, uh, prepared.
You know what I don't like, you guys? The word custody. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Did I say the word custody? I didn't actually mean to,
Yeah.
but no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just another friend.
And I think Vertigo is using Mage Hand to hold his book open while he scribbles
Mm-hmm.
into it vigorously.
Mm-hmm.
Emperor, king, bout board. It's all just friends. Same again. Same again.
Would there be any trying to decide which direction I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would actually look for, because you said this was a lot of fiction in here,
Mm-hmm.
I would actually look for like collections of Dinutherian tales,
Okay.
like folklore,
Mm-hmm.
myths,
Uh,
parables.
sure. Make an investigation check.
Here we
Uh,
go again.
I think what you actually find immediately when you start looking through is that it's actually a lot of non-Denutherian fiction. It's like books from like that you might have been familiar with um, out back on the mainland, but old stuff.
Tusk Glove.
So, I mean, at your first glance, you suspect it's quite possible that it has books in there from before the bubble went up when there was trade between the two, which was a long time ago. But like, you're seeing stuff that is describing mainland locations and stuff.
Carolina, do you see anything um, from the Hero of Legends message? Like, was this before the message went out? Did they ever get the message? I mean, do you,
Well,
looking
that's a
around on the
question that I
wall?
don't know that I can answer. Um, but actually, that does give me another idea. I would like to look around with my squinty eyes,
Mm-hmm.
my yeah, my true sight,
Okay.
and just scan for, you know, anything that might be invisible or illusionary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. Here within the room, you don't see anything. This is a really nice, fancy room, and all of it appears to be like legitimately nice and fancy. You don't see any obvious illusions or anything. Um, but I will say that, like, as you are, you know, hanging out, you do, like, as you're thinking about it, there is just an occasional, like, you're in a small room, but you keep feeling what feels like a draft, but there's nowhere that it could really be coming from, and it's not. You think that it is not actually air moving, but it's perhaps just there's energy moving in this place that you're not able to directly perceive even with the true sight, but you occasionally kind of feel it, and perhaps it is, you've started to kind of become a little bit more attuned to what like this nightmare energy, nightmare influence kind of feels and seems like, and you're definitely sort of just feeling like you get hints of it here and there that not only is it present, but it's moving around, constantly flowing.
Are there any of those ledgers in here?
Not in here. There doesn't seem to be here. like I said, it seems clear this is designed to be a waiting room. It's got stuff that, is like to occupy people when they're spending time here. Not, records.
A set of Yahtzee or something.
Mm-hmm.
Vertigo, are you okay? You've seemed really on edge. Like, don't get me wrong, a little bit creepy, but you're especially bothered. Are you okay?
I think Vertigo is now balancing the book on one hand as he starts to sketch, and the sketch draws up from the book and
Mm-hmm.
sort of flows in midair. Kind of does it as he looks up. It kind of weirdly looks like he's looking through a pair of eyes that he's drawn in air, but it's not actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different sigils.
Mm, a lot. Too much. Everywhere. Too many things. Too many parts. Too much. Flows, but inside, transformation and manifestation are possibly the same. But influence. Can influence be curbed? Can it be contained? Is this contained? Is this the same? Small and large, micro and macro. No difference. Secrets are in front of them, but they don't see it. Or I don't see it. I don't see them.
So, short answer is no.
I don't like the cart.
Not sure I like much of anything in this place, but
Much of it's brilliant. Maybe beyond me. Not beyond my brother, but probably beyond me. I'll have to deal with what I can. Theory. Practice. Chaos. Not all hope is lost. Some is.
So you're just hanging out until, which is fine. I just want to make sure that I'm not like hurrying things along and denying you the chance to do otherwise. Okay, so as you are waiting and talking, eventually you hear a brief knock on the door, which is followed by it going ahead and opening, and you see that it's being opened by a different individual. This one who looks in appearance somewhat like an air genasi. They have kind of light blue skin and sort of like constantly waving white hair. They're pretty tall and skinny, but dressed very similar to Vice President Jeffeths, who follows him in. I think, even without any kind of an insight check, you can see Jeffeths is gritting his teeth a little bit. Like his smile is a little bit strained as he follows this other guy in who comes in looking a little bit more stern. And this other guy just steps right in and just says, "Greetings. I have been informed that the four of you entered crossed the threshold of the bubble around Dinuther. Is that correct?"
that's correct.
In that case, then I must request that you share with us how you did that in detail immediately. And Jeff that's behind him just says, "We will, of course, as I mentioned, offer you generous compensation of whatever you require." And the first guy is just kind of like, "Yeah, okay."
Almost slightly impossible. We need to know
Theo,
what you know first. To be able to tell you if you know what we know.
theoretically, if we said no, what would happen?
We would do our best to persuade you that that is a foolish thing to do. And Jephthah just kind of says, because, of course, we all want the same thing, which is the best for all of the people of Dinuther, right? And he's looking to you like, please agree with me.
I think the only foolish choice is one made in haste.
Yeah, so Jephthah looks somewhat relieved by that. But this other guy just said, he kind of purses his lips, and he just says, my name is Chief Executor Strickland. And if the issue that you mention is a technical one, the intricacies of the arcana involved, then we absolutely have experts that can untangle whatever complicated knots there may be in the actual application of it. This is something we can arrange at a moment's notice if there is agreement that you will explain to us in detail what you did, how you did it, and how it can be repeated.
There are two problems. One, I have not met your experts yet, so I cannot evaluate them. They are no doubt experts, and I am pleased for this. But two, I don't know you. And unfortunately, my sight is wounded here. I don't know if I can know you. I can know you. Will you shake my hand?
And he holds out the hand with the blue glove, with the indigo glove.
So that glove, I think, was really intended more for like objects, I think. Right?
It's a wild card. He does not know if it'll work.
Yeah.
But it's possible.
I think, okay. He kind of scowls again a little bit. Like, again, like, I don't want to overstate it. This is a sort of severe, stern-looking guy that appears to be his general demeanor as opposed to him necessarily seeming specifically angry, right? You get a sense looking at his face that this might well be his default expression. But it does furrow his brow just a little bit, but he does... he kind of kneels down to be on your level and offers his hand.
Vertigo takes his hand and sees if he understands anything. If he doesn't, that's perfectly fine.
I think that glove is for objects.
Okay.
Not people. I think...
magic, difficult to
you know
discern.
what? How about this? You do, when you shake his hand, touch a ring that he is wearing. And when you touch that ring... Sorry, I just have to try to remember what I even said that your glove does.
I don't know if it's in this book or not. Oh, I think I have it in my inventory.
Let's see. Things you touch will tell their stories true, is what the rhyme was about it. I think that when you touch the ring with the glove, you are suddenly given an image of like untouched stone that is then broken apart and poured over, and a gem, unrefined and polished, taken out of the bare stone, submitted to a number of tests, and then carved, polished, cut into facets, and then imbued with magical power that feels like it, like the magic feels angry to be placed there. Like you are perceiving this sort of from the perspective of the gem, which is not in itself angry, but you are perceiving that the energy, the magic imbued in it, was angry to be put there. And that this ring has then been passed from one owner to another over many years, finally making its way to here. This particular owner, where it does as it is asked, which is a protective enchantment on the ring, but the magic inside is still angry.
Fey magic, complicated. Nice ring. Strange ring. Angry ring.
He kind of pulls his hand back and sort of puts it in a pocket, trying to look casual about it.
Does not tell me you. Complicated because you might be you, but you might not be. I've seen it before. How do you know you're you? Have you been true to yourself lately?
He gives Jeffeth a look that it's a little hard, like it's not directed at any of you, so you don't see it well. But he gives that look, and then he looks back and says, there are many conversations that we can have in the future when we're all friends working together. But that's not where we are yet, is it?
I have met friends, and I have met friends. Sometimes hard to tell the difference.
Can I talk to someone else? He's looking at the rest of you. He looks to the rest of you and says, he's very smart, I'm sure. Is he generally who you have speak to people?
Well, we don't control him. He's his own person. And much like any of us, he has his own quirks and his own uses. I think the issue here is that we've only seen a very tiny bit of this whole island. We've only met 3 people, spoken to them. If you were to go somewhere new and
We're not
be in
talking
the
about
kind of
me. I'm asking you a
Don't
question.
cut her off. When she's talking, people listen. It's how it happens. Now, we came here.
He clears his throat and he says, excuse me. When I talk, people listen. And let me explain this to you right now, is that I know that we've given you the smiling face here at the beginning. But we are extremely invested in finding a way out of this bubble. And if you know how to do it, there are 2 ways that we can proceed. One is where you get generously rewarded with whatever it is that you need. And the other is probably less entertaining. We would rather the former.
Not a good way to make friends.
We're not trying to make friends. We're trying to
Absolutely
get
not.
outside the bubble. And so
But that explains why so many people are attacking you. I mean, I see clearly now.
I'm not interested in your judgments. I'm interested in whether or not you are willing to cooperate. If the answer is no, we can go ahead and switch to that other path. I would rather we not. But I'm also not interested in holding your hands while you hem and haw over the various ethical dilemmas of your situation.
Why
It's
do you
not a matter of
contain...
ethical dilemmas. This place
Why-
is dangerous.
Why do you contain the energies? The manifestations? You turn them into small balls, yes? Why? Why do you do that?
That's a stupid question because it's useful, it's productive, it's powerful.
No, because it's dangerous. It can be productive, it can be useful, but that's not the reason you started. That's the reason you continue. But you started because it was dangerous, right? Otherwise, you would let these energies go. The things go free, yes? Yes. Yes. Contain the problem because it might be dangerous. What if you let them go? Can you open those things? What do you call them? Pearls, things, yes? Can you open one? What happens if you do?
Looks at Jeffeths again and then walks out of the room. And so Vice President Jeffeths, this guy you kind of rode in the carriage with, is just like, ha ha ha. Well, there's a reason I had explained how I thought it was beneficial and good fortune that it was me that was there to greet you because
That would have gone
obviously
very differently if it wasn't.
Chief Executive Strickland is certainly he is a very serious man. He's very important. He has a lot of things that weigh on his mind. He is perhaps brusque for the tastes of many, and so I please will hope that you do not jump to conclusions based on his manner. Bear in mind that he is someone who is dealing day in and day out with death tolls of the attacks that we face, and therefore he is not patient when it comes to something that could possibly save all of us. And so I apologize for his manner, but it is nonetheless the case that there is some insistence on the part of the larger organization that we find a way forward. And so it would be my pleasure to discuss with you what we can do for you that would persuade you to help us.
I don't think he understands how dangerous this place is.
And so
I don't mean for the people who live here. I mean for everyone outside of this bubble.
Yes.
are you proposing then that we should be trapped here forever?
No,
Everyone?
that's not why we came here.
Well, then what are we talking about here? I'm sorry. This has become heated in a way that I didn't desire. This is something that we all, we've been dreaming of the possibility of this, and I feel like it is now slipping through my fingers due to misunderstanding. Please.
Okay.
Do we have that book still?
Yeah, we have it.
The pop-up book?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
May I have it, please?
Sure.
And manifests it out of the bag and hands it over.
I will hand him the book. This was some of the first knowledge that we ever had about Dinuther.
He flips through the first few pages and then he says, yes, I'm familiar. You are putting me in a difficult position here to try to defend the actions of people whom I've never met and would probably not get along with. But what I'm telling you right now is that the entire island has been sealed away in a rat's nest and is suffering daily. And it would seem to me that you have the ability to help us, and we're questioning whether or not you should.
I
Questioning
think
how.
that in order for us to help you, we need to have the freedom to take in the situation ourselves, to gain an understanding of exactly what is necessary in order to help you. Now, I know you have experts
So
and you have had people working on this.
please try to look at this from our perspective. It is dangerous out there. There are fights, battles on the streets. People go missing. People are transformed into these magical drainers that we've talked about. That all awaits out there. And the possibility that we allow you to leave and you are killed in some senseless attack that we cannot protect you from because you have left our protection, and to risk the knowledge you carry being lost in that way, how could we allow that?
Because you're asking us to justify opening a gateway to let all of these horrors that you are talking about right now out into the rest of the world.
But if that is precisely why, if you give it to us, we can control it. We don't have to let the horrors out. We can ensure that the means of transport is protected from those sorts of dangers.
Who are you? Are you who you think you are? I have
How
met
can I
some that
answer
thought
that question?
that is what I'm seeking to find out.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing is, we have a way to answer that question, but I don't know how that would go. I think that it would be pretty bad if we were to attempt to answer the question of whether or not you are who you are.
The, the
Tell me
simple
what I
fact,
can
the
do.
simple fact here is that if we wanted to, well, no, that's not entirely true because if we wanted to just leave, we couldn't really do that right now, could we? Looking at Vertigo. But if we could leave, and if we were certain that doing so wouldn't, blow up the world,
It, I
we
mean,
could have the bubble just taken down. Not from in here.
so that's wonderful. How can we help you do that?
Need to know you and what you know.
We don't want to take that down only for the problem to become worse. Those things, she drew that picture for you. They're outside, causing chaos, installing themselves in these places of power, and wreaking havoc, essentially. Everything that started here, with or without the bubble, has spilled over. Whatever it is you guys are doing here is making a mess everywhere. Every plane. We've seen it. We've fought it. But we had to go to the source. And that's here.
You are speaking in such abstract terms that you're not giving me anything I can respond to.
How about this? And some of the terms that I'm using are terms we've developed over time, so if you need further explanations, we'll work on it. The way you are using magic, the way that you delay payment, is creating nightmare energy, and those nightmares are manifesting. They are also infecting you, all of the people here that are part of this magical system. And I can prove this to you.
What I
And
suspect you will find is that this is an effect of the arcane bubble. We
no,
are unable to interact with the broader cosmos, and sealing us away is creating this concentration effect.
Time is in the wrong direction. The effect preceded the bubble. That
The
was the
effect
creation of the
happens
bubble.
Okay, I
outside the
listen.
bubble.
We're talking in circles here, and I apologize that I'm needing to press the issue. But let me be clear. I am doing my utmost to try to maintain a scenario where everyone benefits here.
I
Then let us
understand that.
go and do what we came here to do.
That's not going to be possible, and it's not my decision. There is nothing I could say or do that would allow that at this point.
Then I guess we're all stuck here. All of us.
Yep.
You're
And like I
trying to
said, I
maximize benefit. We're trying to minimize harm.
I'm trying to show you the nightmare that's inside you. That's what I'm offering to you. To show you the truth that the nightmare is inside you. And
Hmm.
that once you see it, once it
Just do
comes
it.
out of you, is this a big enough room?
It doesn't matter. It's going to be the only way.
Do we even know that he's corrupted?
We will
Not,
find out.
not easy to tell. Everything here seems the same.
Corrupted.
Uh, you are talking.
There might be another way.
Your
Dinor,
understanding of how our magic operates, I don't know that I can even go along with your fundamental premise. We are certainly aware that there are a concentration of energies that are produced as we go through our process, but we are. There are bad individuals here on the island, but we are not them. We are seeking to protect everyone from them. And then
Dinor,
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
do it.
what if, hold on. There are things that we clearly do not understand from this side. I'm wondering if Vertigo, if there are things you could learn that might bring some clarity to the way this magic works and how the balance is kept or not.
I
Is
need.
there, could you maybe, would that help?
I think so. If people here are experts, they know at least the tools, and some might know the theory.
let me just, before we go too far down that road, let me just say, if we were in an atmosphere of you having agreed to cooperate, there are many, many things that could happen and arrangements that could be made. The inflexibility is stemming from your repeated assertions that maybe you will choose to not help us.
The
I
problem
told
is, are you the right ones to help? You think you
we
are,
want
of
to help
course.
everyone. No, no. We want to help everyone in as much as we can. But we just want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. That's all.
I don't want to help
And that can't be
Tanglefoot.
rushed.
No, nobody wants to help Tanglefoot. I'm a pat the top of your
So could
Yeah.
Nedry maybe do a little bit of investigation, learn some things, maybe trade some information with your experts? Would that be a stepping stone to getting to where we want to go?
All of that can be arranged if it's under the framework of you having agreed to help us. What would not be acceptable is for us to grant you access to all of our secure archives and our experts and our resources, only to at the end have you say, actually, no, we're going to leave
I'm
you trapped in this
s-
bubble forever.
I don't want to do that. That is not what I came here to do. But I don't want to immediately say yes to everything when we don't know everything. So I'm suggesting a bit of trade of information between Vertigo and some of your experts, just as an initial compromise, and then we can see where we go from there.
I want to know how we can make it so the bubble is not needed anymore.
Everyone here would agree with that premise.
Then we can agree to
But
do that.
let me be clear, you met Strickland just now. He represents others within the organization who see this as non negotiable, that if we have a possibility of bringing down the bubble, that that must be done at any cost. I am not of that feeling, and yet I consider it extremely important. And what I am trying to do is to find a way where we all win here. And
But
if that is going to happen, you're going to have to work with me on this.
it is important who pays the cost.
Sure. But what I'm saying is, the way you spoke to Strickland just now, if I don't come out of here with a deal, there's going to be a problem.
I'm not suggesting in unlimited access to your knowledge. Not what we're looking for, and we don't have time for that anyway.
I'm going to need to be able to come out of here and say, it will take time, but they will help us. And if any of
Well,
you
that's not a lie.
if any of you contradict me on that, or continue these vague insinuations that maybe you're going to actually help someone else and not us, or not help anyone, or whatever it is you keep hinting at.
So
If
that's
this
the
is
thing.
overheard by others, it's going to. This can go another way, and I don't want it to.
I'm not good at lying.
Well,
The
that
thing is, I don't want us to be restricted to only helping you. Like Carolina said, we are here to help everyone, even the people that you don't like, the people who are considered bad or that are causing
Please
problems. We
forgive
want to
me
help
here, but we're
everyone.
going back and forth now, because just a moment ago you were talking about how are we going to keep the horrors that we mentioned out from escaping. And now
well,
you're saying that.
not the horrors. That what we're I think what she's referring to is those rebels and the constructs and the anarchists that you
Listen,
like.
if the rebels would stop attacking us, we would have no quarrel with them.
What if we could find a way to bring about a ceasefire? Would that at least buy some time?
I wish I could say yes, but how can you assure me that, as I mentioned, it's dangerous out there, and you four represent the only individuals who have any experience crossing the threshold of the bubble out of the entire island?
Yeah, which is why you guys should be like bending over backwards to get our help.
This
And
is what
all we're
I'm
getting
trying
is
to do. Please help me.
But
He literally goes down on his knees.
is there someone who is higher in command than
Can we speak to
Strickland?
your manager?
Somebody who is less
Sorry.
demanding and rude because we want to help you. And I empathize with your position right now, being, forced to force us. But nothing good ever comes from that kind of force. We
I'm
need
just.
to be able to negotiate and work together, not be demanded.
Let me offer a metaphor. Imagine that you have discovered that you have been poisoned, and it will take a long time and be very painful, but it will eventually kill you. And then someone hands you a little vial and says, "This is the antidote. It will cure you completely, but you can't take it right now. You have to wait a month. And if you wait a month and then take it, it will cure you completely." Wouldn't you want to maintain control of that little vial? Do you think you
I
would
think
give it to your friends to run around with? You'd give it to your little nephew to take on into school for show and tell?
I think your metaphor is apt, but not in the way you think it is. The cure is not to remove the dome, but the cause.
I don't understand what you mean.
There is an
nobody
imbalance
does.
here of something. There's that imbalance which will destroy everything beyond this dome.
I know it seems complicated
Mhm.
because our friend is
I,
incredibly intelligent and
I,
expressing himself has not been easy, but we came here for a very specific purpose. And we need to get to the root of that in order to help. We're just going back and forth and back and forth
yes,
in circles
I,
with
I,
no.
so let me try to cut the circle off then and let you know what is in my power to grant you and what is not. If we were to be able to come to an arrangement whereupon you have agreed to help us discover the means by which travel through the bubble is possible, all sorts of resources can be made available for you. Conversations with experts, research into anything you care to look into. If it is in the service of that goal and there is an agreement with the four of you that that is part of what is being done. If we can come out of here with a deal, I can offer you a great deal.
I think our goal is to remove the need for the bubble and
If
bring the
we
bubble
do
down.
not leave this room with a deal, it will be taken out of my hands and I will have no ability to control what happens next. And I
But
can assure you,
you're not willing to bend. You're not listening to me.
I'm telling
If the
you,
bubble comes down,
I'm telling you what is within my power to grant you and what is not.
right.
I cannot give you what you are asking for. I
So
cannot do it. If I wanted
the
to, I
only
couldn't.
deal you will accept is one where you are allowed out of the bubble. Even if the bubble comes down, doesn't that get you what you want?
If you are saying, if you're willing to come out of here and say, we are looking for a way to bring the bubble down, everything can go so much more smoothly. But
But we
you
said
keep
that from the
saying that,
beginning.
and no, you don't. You keep saying, you keep framing it as though you're going to have to wait and study and then decide whether or not you bring the bubble down.
It's not a matter of if, it's when. I understand your position, but we're
Uh,
not looking for reward. That's not something, whatever. We're not interested in that.
Let me reiterate, my hands are tied. I am doing my best to get you everything I can manage, but I will have no further authority on the matter unless we come out of this room with an agreement that you will help us bring the bubble down, period. Now,
You are a friend of the Emperor and need us to work with you for the Emperor's benefit.
I would
Maybe we
hope that
can.
you would see me as a friendlier face than some, but if it's not about me though, right? I'm just telling you that of the people that I have spoken to in the immediate circumstance, Strickland was the other one with the who seemed to have a desire to take control of the situation, and he would handle things very differently than I have, and I would prefer not to see that happen.
I think he
So
would
if we
handle them
agree to
badly.
this, then you are our point of contact, and Strickland has no say over anything that we do. I mean, I obviously, your council would have to come to certain agreements, but I'm saying our point of contact would be you.
Nothing would please me more.
Can I
Can we
see?
have a minute to
Can
ourselves and
Uh,
just to kind of have a conversation? Just a minute.
yes, I will be right outside. Please, find a way to make this happen. I I won't have any control if we don't. And then he steps outside the door and closes it.
I could look inside his mind. I don't know if I would see if there's a thing hiding there,
I
but
don't think it's going to matter. It's not going to
It
matter. There
doesn't.
is no
it,
way out of this situation
it would matter to
than to
me.
say, yes, we are going to help you, because that is why we're here.
I would rather know
And
if I'm saying yes to a friend or to Tanglefoot.
The
I
problem
know.
here is that not that, we don't want to help them. Is we want to do it on our terms and that's not acceptable to them. And I don't
Yeah.
know how we get around that.
So we make the agreement and we start working with what we have at our capacity. That's all we can really do because they're not going to let us leave.
When
And the longer we're stuck here, the longer it takes and the worse the situation gets. It's not getting any better.
when I was apprenticed to Master Finster, I was not the only apprentice. I may have been the most honest. The other apprentices seemed to do a lot of work, but every time I asked them about it, it always seemed vague and hard to understand. Master Finster seemed to accept this because he was getting the work that he needed. I suppose I can think like one of them, do the work that they think is needed.
Yes.
I'd
We'll
still
have
like to know.
access to resources. Maybe we can find, they have all this technology and at their disposal, and they can't find a way to communicate with the people outside the city to come to terms. I know they said that they haven't been able to, but there's got to be a way because we cannot just work with one
Remember,
small group of people.
yeah, remember their mindset. These are the people that get other people to agree to pay the magical cost for
Yes.
the works that they do.
Not
And
all
they,
of them.
no, I'm talking about the people like Strickland, the people at the top. This is a very top down, you know, group where they're used to whatever they say goes and only that. And um, they don't care about hurting anyone else. They don't care about the other people. They want out so that they have a huge population of people that they can continue to magically abuse.
He wears a very angry ring
Yeah,
Yeah.
and will do things at any cost. It does not say who
That's
pays the cost.
that's the problem, and that I don't want to work with that person if we can avoid it. And if
well,
our only choice is to work with this group of people, I say we go with the vice pres.
okay. Do we ask him to breathe the smoke?
Or I
I
can
don't
look
think that's
into
going
his
to help
I
mind.
anything.
I don't. I think, I mean, from what Vertigo said, I haven't cast that spell myself. I could, but I haven't yet. I think that that would be opening a massive can of worms, and I don't mean the kind in the ground.
Although,
What kind do you mean?
The dragony ones.
it is. I am. I wonder what they have made. That pipe is from the same root knowledge. And there may be more. They may not realize where the source comes. If they think it is only manifest energy, then they are blinded to the rest, but they may have better tools. I want to know what
Maybe.
they can know.
That's so. Are we in agreement?
I
I
don't like any of this.
Me either.
well, there are no good choices, Carolina. And Nedry, I know you want
Please.
as much knowledge. I'm sorry. Vertigo. You want as much knowledge as you can get, but at a certain point, they're going to start putting those nightmares on us. And I don't think it's going to take long.
The second they hear the word no,
Yep.
that's it. They will resort to drastic measures.
Yep.
And I'm
Which
not
means,
comfortable with that. I can't. I can't do
Which-
it.
But
which
what are we
means
going what
we
else
get
are
out
we
of
gonna
here.
do? I mean, are
don't
we
know.
gonna do like a big heist and escape out into the
I
dangerous world that they're warning us about? Which I'm sure it's got its dangers, but I don't think it's as bad as they
I
say.
just want to go to the library.
I know, we'll get there someday, I promise.
No, we
Someday.
won't.
Lower levels of this place have secure archives.
Yeah, we'll go
Well-
down there and it'll be the end of the whole campaign. The building
Well-
will collapse on us. That'll be it.
given the size of the nightmares that show up when uh, they've had lots of time to grow, I can only imagine what's going to come out of Strickland or one of the others at his level.
Well,
And I'm not sure. I mean, like,
So, Nedry,
it,
you said that Ring
Please.
felt very angry, or it's Vertigo. You said that Ring felt very angry. That's what happens when you capture anything.
I think so.
what if I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, but what if it's like Marushka? It needs to be free.
That sounds like what they were suggesting.
I know, but I mean, Marushka, everybody was like, she's so angry, and it's horrible, and she's awful. But really, she was just really sad. I don't know. Sometimes it's too much for my brain.
Do we have a way that we could just leave? Get out of here?
Maybe.
Like-
Could we like plane shift out with your book if we had to?
Does that work in this bubble? I don't even.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
even know. I thought
There's
that.
a complication. That thing comes from here. I don't know what it would do here. It might tear open the bubble to use it.
We should have been making forks
I can.
this whole time.
Go ahead and make an Arcana check. Actually, everyone can roll it if you have proficiency.
I do.
I don't think I do.
23.
Ooh, 23 is pretty good.
No.
26.
26.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Vertigo and Zaleen, both of you think like plane shift is a powerful spell, but it's also possible they have. It's also quite clear they have powerful magic here. If something like plane shift could get someone out of the bubble, they would probably not be so desperate.
Right.
Technically
My-
gaped, but yeah.
Well,
theory.
same deal though.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
part of what the bubble does is it blocks all extra planar travel as well.
Right.
But does it block travel just within the bubble? Like, do
Well-
we have a way to go from here to, like, I don't know, some other random point on the island?
Wasn't there something in your Heroes of Legend stories about that Cadence always trying to do that, but there were never any like sigils, so she could never travel that way?
Yeah, the teleportation circles.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know how to do that anyway, but do you know how to do that?
No.
No,
Mm.
it was never a magic that I was that interested in.
I think that you would have to know where the portals are and stuff. So
Yeah, you have to know the correct sequence of
something's. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. I
Mhm.
I don't trust any of this or these people. I mean, the vice president,
No.
he's
He would straight and murder us just to get some knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that.
He's
He
like the
does not seem to have
lesser
any
of the
qualms.
two evils that we met.
Just as a minor clarification, he wouldn't murder you because then how's he going to get the information? He would find
Yeah.
ways short of that.
They would
Yeah.
do some torture, which I'm pretty sure that Strickland was planning.
I mean,
So
yeah. Well, so like the guy you've been talking to the most, obviously, he's PR, right? Like he's given you like it's not that he's wrong or that he's lying, but he's certainly given you the positive spin.
He's the good cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's the lesser of the two evils
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Yep.
There may be even more evil above them that we don't know about yet.
There is.
Well,
Or
and
an
the thing
evil
is, it's
committee.
like when you have a lot of people, there might be evil people at the top. There might be also a lot of people on the various other levels who are really just trying to get by, right?
Yeah, generally speaking,
Mm.
yeah.
But at the
The
same,
problem
so
here is
yeah,
that
you're
the problem here is that this group seems all about control and maintaining control and
Yes.
having everything their
mm-hmm.
way.
They
And
sure
I don't
do.
like that.
buying cooperation. He keeps offering us whatever we want. Resources, money, magic, anything we want. It's all everything is transactional.
Yeah,
There's no thought about doing things for the greater good.
yeah, that's a problem. But can we work with that? Doing it for our own reasons?
There has to be another way. There has to be.
Guess I'll start digging a
I can't
tunnel.
do this. I could not live with myself just letting them get their way. I couldn't.
Can pretend.
I would ask for divine intervention, but we all know that never works. I mean,
mean,
she's there.
yeah.
I'm telling you.
You
I'm
all are
telling you.
also 15 level characters, so like it's not you're not powerless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if we pull a nightmare out of Strickland, it's going to try and kill him. It's going to start tearing this place up. Everyone else is going to attack it. That could be a very nice distraction while we
We don't know what
hoof it.
kind of magical defenses they have at their. I mean, clearly, if we have the pipe, I'm sure they have something very similar here.
They can
They have
capture
to.
and
Not
manifest the
just
energy.
that.
So
Yeah,
Not just
they can
that, but
capture these things.
the nightmare energy is absolutely everywhere. How do
Mhm.
you know that that's the only thing that you're going to pull out? You could be pulling nightmares out of the floor for all we know. Then we're surrounded, and there's only so many slots in that deck.
Also, if you do that against anybody here against their will, that's very likely to be seen as a hostile action, and I don't think will go well for us. I don't know how many people are here, but I don't really want to fight my way out.
Eileen, a few minutes ago, you were telling me to do it without asking for
I was really
permission.
mad. I was super mad. I'm
Look,
super mad.
it's an option. I
But I
personally
know.
think it's going to, give us the opportunity we need to hoof it.
We
What
don't
if
have to do that because just kind of tap on the Vidunme deck. If that's what you're trying to do, I can do that. No pipe involved.
But wouldn't it be cool to see what happens here?
no?
no,
Mm-mm.
there
You have
is too
really
much.
got to get your bearings as a life cleric, man.
There's too much risk to the knowledge that's contained here.
I am. We're saving the lives of everyone
Come to the
outside this
dark
bubble.
side. I think that if we do decide to work with these people, maybe we can start gaining their trust, ridding them individually of their nightmare, one by one, so that we have actual allies.
Okay.
It's just a thought.
I don't think that certain portions of this population are willing to wait for that kind of process.
I'm not saying we need a lot of allies, but you know, so the vice president will give us anything we want if we agree to do this. So what we want to help him. Would you let us help you? You know?
Yep. We ask permission.
Mhm.
We get a bunch of people together and have him snort the smoke.
I just
Even
don't see
though,
it going well.
even
Oh,
though this
Is
it's
this
place,
going to
already
go
not
well?
going well.
Exactly. I love you. You know that. But do you have another idea right now? Because if you do, we need it now.
Just to be clear, I'm prepared either way you handle it. So, or for all I know, if you come up with some third thing, who knows?
If you have an idea,
If
I'm
anybody
open
is going
to
to
it.
have a stroke of brilliance, I am not behind working with
Yeah.
them unconditionally or using that pipe. I think those are both really bad ideas. I do not want either of those things.
Well, I'm
Well,
I'm not willing to work with them unconditionally. And that seems to be the only thing that they'll accept.
mhm. So I guess it's time to start planning our escape route.
why
Or
don't we
we
try
could,
to escape from the archives
That's what I mean.
after about a month's research?
I know.
I need to refine my spell. What I thought I was trying to find, I find too much. It needs to be more subtle. That will take time.
But do we have that kind of time? What happens if we're here for a month or
If
longer
we're
than
still
that?
here in a month, we will be dead.
Or
2 years
we
later
will
in game time.
It's been a month
Yeah.
already.
2 years in real lifetime.
Yeah.
Like it's been 3 days
Mhm.
since we got to dinner.
I don't know them, but I recognize the pattern. It is the same as the friend of the Emperor.
Yeah.
The friend was not corrupted. I don't know if Jeffeth is or not, but it may not matter just yet. Although I still want to know.
Same.
I've got 4 charges on this hither thither wand. So that's one potential route to
How
go.
far does it take you?
Let's see. It is each one appearing on a flat surface of your choice that you can see within 1,500 feet of yourself.
So one charge gets us halfway out of the building.
Well,
We're
remember,
not going to get very
you,
far.
you need line of sight. Part of is
Mhm.
part of it.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean. So we're not going to get very far.
um I can cast an anti-magic shell now, and it moves with me. Anti-magic field.
Yeah, but we have to stay real close to you, if I recall correctly.
No,
We
I
could.
think I think it's actually
Everybody
pretty
could get in
big.
the backpack.
It's a 10-foot radius, I think. So there's plenty of us to move for, yeah, 10-foot radius, invisible sphere of anti-magic.
You don't think they have regular bows and arrows? Just saying.
They probably don't. They'd be like, why would we rely on those Stone Age tools?
Right. And, you know,
I mean, they might, but
we'll
still.
be running.
Well, if you want to run, I'll get my Eldritch Blasts ready and hope for the best.
Well, you won't be able to fire them inside that
I can reach my hand out of the anti-magic shell.
I'm not going.
Here we go.
This is where I need to be.
It's
Do we
never
wanna-
easy with you three, is it?
I feel like we have 4 different opinions on
Well,
what should happen
do,
here,
do we
and
want to leave things unresolved, two-parter style here on the precipice of making a decision and return next week? That's certainly okay. I would prefer that to just belaboring the issue for a lot longer, but
yeah, I don't think we're going to come to any
all
kind of
right. Well,
agreement
we're
tonight.
pretty close to the end, so I think where we will leave things then for now is the uncertain note of what the pocket protectors will need to do as they have found themselves within the headquarters of the enemy? Question mark? Or not? Question mark? We'll have to find out what happens next time when we return for more adventure on so many levels.
So many
So many
visions
choices.
and factions and everything.